Our other top story, of course, tonight is the formal commissioning of the U.S.S. Little Rock right here in Buffalo. The new U.S.S. Little Rock now proudly joining the fleet of the U.S. Navy ships of the line. And that ceremony taking place in the cold and snow at the Naval and Military Park in Buffalo near Canalside with the public and various dignitaries on hand. This was also history making for the Navy as the commissioning took place for the first time ever near the ship's decommissioned namesake, the old World War II era cruiser known as Little Rock. Now the new Little Rock formally recognized for service with this salute from a flag rank officer.
Ships like the Little Rock will operate forward where much of our Navy cannot, in the shallows and the littorals, and with speed and with lethality. And after today, this ship will head out to her home port at Mayport. And later next year, she will deploy and go in harm's way.
And as Vice Admiral McCallum pointed out, the ship will handle a variety of potential combat missions with the ability to get very close to the shallow coastline waters around the world. Another special guest at today's commissioning was the former Secretary of the U.S. Navy, Ray Mabus, who was appointed into that position by President Obama back in 2009, has a very special connection to the new U.S.S. Little Rock. Channel 2's Erica Brecker joining us from Canalside with his story. Erica?
Good evening, Ron. There were so many special people here tonight between veterans attending and dignitaries who spoke, but I'm going to say that among the most special was Ray Mabus, who served not only a lengthy political career, but also prior to that served his country aboard the original USS Little Rock in the 1970s. Mabus completed a 2-year tour aboard the original guided missile cruiser as a junior lieutenant from 1971 to 1972. He now sits on the Alumni Association and visits Buffalo every so often to attend their annual get-togethers. Today he toured not only the new ship, but also the decommissioned one, including seeing his old stateroom, which he recalled had 2 bunks and 2 safes.
It's always special to see a new warship brought into the fleet, but this one is particularly meaningful to me because I sailed on the old one and got to name the new one.
And that's yet another neat fact. Ray Mabus actually named this ship. As Secretary of the Navy, it was part of his job to name the ship, and he chose to keep the name USS Little Rock alive back in 2011, which means that a decision he made more than 7 years ago was realized today, and he's probably among the most famous people to have served aboard the original USS Little Rock, but the newly commissioned one right behind me I think is pretty beautiful sitting on Canalside tonight. We continue our commissioning coverage with Pete Gallivan now, who interviewed a veteran who attended earlier today.
For the 8,500 people who turned out for today's commissioning, it was an emotional event, it was a spectacle, but none were more touched than the original Little Rockers. We caught up with Clark Stone, who traveled all the way to Buffalo from San Jose.
You see a lot that's different between the old technology that I served on 40+ years ago, but you see a lot that's the same. You know, sailors still look the same, and you know, it's just terrific to me that there's another Little Rock to carry on the heritage. And I just hope the sailors that serve on the new Little Rock have a wonderful naval experience like I did serving on the old one.
Was it emotional watching that happen?
Oh yeah, absolutely it was. I mean, I hadn't seen my old ship, the old Little Rock, since I left it in 1976. It was 41 years. So, you know, when I stepped aboard that thing for the first time yesterday and went below decks, it all came flooding back. And then what I saw today, of course, with the commissioning, was just kind of the icing on the cake.
So whereas this Little Rock will stay here in Buffalo, preserving the memories and the history, this Little Rock, in 2 days, will make its way toward its home port of Mayport, Florida, creating new history. Reporting in Buffalo, Pete Gallivan, Channel 2 News.